Miten is here. Okay, let me get started.
Good morning, everyone. Apologies for running late.
No worries, no worries. Google, Amazon, Apple, and Meta have brought a sea change in the edtech industry in the last decade. And they are not done yet. The global edtech industry is expected to grow from $600 billion in 2024 to more than $2 trillion in the next 10 years. Thanks to new innovations and data privacy regulations, the fight to capture and control the data is going to be even more intense and bloodier. Companies will be betting heavily on geo-targeting, hyper-personalization, video advertisements, augmented reality, virtual reality, and gamified advertisements to grab attention. And because this space is innovating so fast, we wanted to bring some subject matter experts to discuss this topic at length. Hi, this is Pankaj Gupta from EthAum Partners. We are a deep tech revenue scaler and fund based out of Singapore with approximately 100 startups in the portfolio. These are all AI, ML, blockchain, IoT, robotics, AR, VR kind of startups from different parts of the world stages and sectors. We are thrilled to host this panel in collaboration with Nickelytics, our new edtech startup. Now, without further delay, I would request our esteemed panelists to introduce themselves. And if I may start with Yahya, please.
So pleasure to be here with you all, and very excited also that we are very kind of global panelists. And
Sure.
I'm based in Switzerland, and I'm seeing Judah is based in the US. Same to Sarusha. Tom in the UK. So Thomas might be the one who's the closest to me right now. And I'm based in a city which is called Lucerne, where the picturesque city of Lucerne, where you have what you imagine in Switzerland, the lake, the mountain, everything. I'm working for a company which is called Swiss GRC, so we deal with everything that is related to governance, risk management, and compliance. And for this, we are the one that provides a software solution. And as a company, we're also growing globally, and so with presences in Germany, the UK, EthAum, and then of course also present in the Middle East and APEC regions. And today I'm very excited and happy to be part of this panel and speaking about a topic which is a very hot topic in the marketing world. I would say you mentioned very well regarding the Googles and the Microsofts and all the likes of one. So it is a sector that is growing very quickly, and we're talking about not billions but trillions, and also excited to know what Judah has to present, because he's now within a sector that is very promising, and from right now already saying wishing you all the best, Judah, and looking forward also to know more about your startup.
Thanks a lot, Yahya. Definitely, we have a very diverse panel, and we are going to get very diverse insights today in this conversation. Tom, may I request you to do an introduction, please?
Yeah, hi everyone. It's great to be here on this fantastic panel that's been put together to talk about a subject that's really close to our hearts. And I suppose, I can remember when the most exciting tech developments in my working life were server-side includes and CMS and HTML, quite long in the tooth. So fantastic, to be talking about this subject that we have in front of us. So I'm Chief Marketing Officer at Timeline in the UK, and Timeline, as you can probably tell by my background, is a technology company that empowers financial advisors to help their clients plan, invest, and enjoy confidence in their retirement. There are about 10 million of those end user clients in the UK. We manage over 4 billion of assets under management in our model portfolios, and we have some integrated financial software that includes things like cash flow, risk profiling, and portfolio analytics. I think, Timeline is a brilliant, open-minded technology company. So within our marketing team, which is quite small, we're in a great position to look across different technologies and MarTech and AdTech that we can use. We were the fastest growing discretionary fund manager in 2021, 2022, broke into the top 10 model portfolio services in 2023. And best of all, we were the most recommended MPS by advisors in 2023. So, I think for us as a relatively small business in our sector, AdTech is absolutely, exciting for us.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Tom, for all these achievements at Timeline. Really appreciate your presence today. Sirisha, may I request you to do an intro, please?
Yes, hi everyone. The stellar panel here and the audience watching us. I'm very excited to be here to talk about my most favorite topic, AdTech. You cannot just, I'll keep going on and on. You'll have to shut me off. So I'm from a company called Ad Media. It's been around since 26 years, headquartered in Los Angeles, California, in the United States. I am based out of Dallas, Texas, and I'm the company CTO. So I also do a lot of hands-on coding every day, all the stuff that needs to be deep dived into, revamped, added, new, and staying abreast with the newest trends and innovations to develop protocols and scaling them at a high traffic across the globe. So I echo what the other panelists have said already, is there is never a dull moment in ad tech. It's very interesting, and it's not always what Google or Microsoft and other stalwarts lead into. They are good platforms, alternative to those like Ad Media and other companies on our panel today, that can offer competitive prices and other monetization models. Hey, where would all the retailers be without ad tech, right? So I'm excited to talk ideas and exchange thoughts in this panel today.
Thank you. Fantastic, Sirisha. I hope we are able to do a good deep dive in the technology with you today. So appreciate you joining. Mithane, may I request you to do an intro, please? Please unmute yourself. Mithane? Yeah, please go ahead. I think you went on mute again.
Let me see 1 second.
Yes.
Okay. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer and Chief of AI Solutions for a NASDAQ-listed company called Mondi. We are an AI-enabled travel tech company. I'm very excited to be part of this. We are headquartered here in Austin, Srisha, not too far from you. I live in San Diego, and I commute here almost every alternate week. We are in about 23 countries. EdTech is very special, and I think my goal today in the session is to hopefully learn and perhaps also contribute a little bit in terms of, what problem can EdTech solve now with Gen AI, especially in the travel, tourism, and hospitality space. I believe there are lots of opportunities for EdTech to solve the problems and make our travel overall and our experience stress-free. And I look forward to contribute in the next hour or so with the rest of the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, Mithane. Appreciate your time today. Next, I would request Judah, CEO of Nickelytics and moderator of today's event, to introduce himself. Judah, please take the stage.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Super excited. I was already excited, but hearing more, and from the panel, we got to start studied and very deep expertise. So excited to get some great insights and learn from you all. So my name is Judah, co-founder and CEO of Nickelytics. Been in this space for I would say probably 7 years now, really kind of just learning and integrating and having some great resources on our side help what we're building. I'll save our pitch till the end because it looks like we got some time allocated for that, but just super excited to be part of today's conversation.
Thank you, Judah. And now it's time to take out those interesting, intriguing, burning questions that you have with you. And let's start getting feedback, insights from the panel.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd love to. So we're going to try to do this in a proper presidential debate way where everyone gets a fair amount of time. So I'm going to do my best here to, kind of move around. But I will say if, there's one particular question that we're seeing a lot of, I would say, passion around, we might spend a little bit longer on. If one question maybe isn't as, hard hitting or there's not enough there, we can just move around. So we have a good list of questions, I think should open up a good dialogue. But with that being said, I mean, I know we all know what ad tech is. And I know there's a lot to it. I would love to kind of open the floor up, and first person, feel free to kind of step forward and take this. What does ad tech, and this is maybe more for our audience, maybe not everyone's deeply, ingrained in the day-to-day of ad tech like we are, but I would love someone to just, start off by giving an overview of what ad tech means, and how would you explain it in the most simple terms possible?
It's open for everybody.
If no one answers, I'll call someone out.
Well,
Tisha, please go ahead.
maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
For me, when I hear ad technology is how can I facilitate advertising with the help of technology? So this is what I ask myself when I hear ad tech, but it's also a kind of explanation to what it is.
I love it.
I can try to explain from other point of view is people don't really fully grasp what an ad tech is or a martech is. Technology is technology, but specifically ad tech is dealing with two entities, publisher and advertiser, and it is trying to showcase advertiser inventory on various publisher sites in a complicated algorithm that joins them together. So it can be based upon showing brand advertisements or retargeting and all those things that are, these terms are not a norm in other industries and verticals, which we can dive deep into later in the panel questions. I'm sure it will come up. So it's all about, it comes to the bottom line of showcasing advertiser inventory on publisher websites, and they're connected together with an ad exchange. That is what is ad tech is.
Love it. Anyone else want to add any definition, how they look at ad tech and explain it in the most simple way possible?
I have one more statement. Sorry, Tom. Can
It's
I
all right,
add
go
it?
ahead.
I promise I'll keep it under 10 seconds. One important aspect is with respect to advertisers, they want to have what we call it as return on ad spend, and that forms the core of the entire ad tech technology development and the industry is the advertiser would like to spend $100 to run a campaign, and they want to make more revenue, like $1,000, and the return on ad spend here is like $900. So that is what is the simplest of terms to explain with respect to money, the language most of us understand.
Yeah, if you can put $1 in and get $6 out, that's how the business grows. So Tom, I think you wanted to add some context or maybe an answer here.
Yeah, I think there's some, there's been some great definitions of what it is and how we can use it there. I think, the umbrella term, if we might say that, for the software and tools that help us deliver as brands and advertisers throughout digital marketing, digital advertising. I think for me, the thing that I would add in there is just it's a great leveler. It's a great level playing field, enabling smaller businesses to compete with bigger businesses and businesses with much bigger budgets, because the entry level tools that are available to us in ad tech, or the more sophisticated ones, are readily accessible. So I think that's the only thing I would like to add there.
Excellent. Great insight. Anyone else? All right, if not, we can move into question 2. Appreciate all that. So ad tech is rapidly evolving, a lot of innovations. I think we can start with, what are maybe 1 or 2 that you're most excited about? And then the second part of that question is, how are you implementing that in your business on a day-to-day basis?
I think what we are all excited about is AI. Everybody is using AI together with literally everything: healthcare, AI, software development, AI, and of course, advertising technology. AI has to be there. And we, from our perspective, we of course we are not ad tech specialists in a sense, but we are those then who use them ad technology. So kind of potential customers for you, Judah. And what we are very interested in is we want to do as or to have as few tasks as possible when it comes to the advertising campaign. So if you launch now an advertising campaign, I as someone who's responsible for the marketing department, I just don't want to have too much to do with it. But still, of course, then putting in the money and then getting a maximum amount of it. So optimizing, I mean, AI, with the help of AI, achieving a level where automation is there, where everything somehow happens instantly, automatically, and we can deal then what is will be then the daily business, which then takes most of our times, I guess.
Excellent. I was wondering how long we would go until AI came up because there's so many applications. But yeah, that's fantastic. Maybe we'll pass this question to Milton. It looks like you have an extensive background in this space. Maybe you can expand a little bit on that, right? So again, it doesn't have to be AI, but obviously with your background, you probably could, shed some additional light on how you're implementing it and helping other businesses implementing it and leveraging it as a part of your ad tech strategy.
Sure, happy to take a crack at it and then also kind of learn from others. But basically, I think with Gen AI, the opportunity for businesses like ours is to see how EdTech can add value, leapfrog, really order of magnitude, not incremental. We all know the EdTech classic in terms of being an exchange and providing ads, but I believe with Gen AI, there is an opportunity here to kind of go out and better understand and perhaps anticipate what the end user needs and requirements are and what problems they are trying to solve, and perhaps personalize, customize, hyper localize, in my opinion, solutions which we can call them ads or products or services, targeted for them so that it makes overall experience for all of us as an end user better, and we start actually seeing a lot more value than what we are seeing. I think we all know the old adage in marketing that 50% of ads are adding no value. It's just that we don't know which 50%. And I am hoping with Gen AI, we are able to go out and crack that solution. I'll give example of our industry in travel. We all know how travel can be very stressful when we're in holidays or when we are visiting town or when we are trying to create an experience, right? Whether it is air, hotel, car, cruise, events, places, activities, finding restaurant. I think there is a great opportunity because there's a huge amount of inventory available by service providers, products, and others. And I think there's an opportunity here that if at the right time, at the right place, at the right location, and with the right personalized information and profile information, using Gen AI, if we are able to go out and anticipate some of those needs and say, hey, you just, for example, landed in Austin and it's your, for example, happens to be your a friend's birthday and you want to send, or it's your wife's anniversary and you want to send a flowers, or you want to go out and book a dinner, or you want to book a cruise or a yacht out there. Ability to go out and build these kind of very simple, seamless experiences, which has always been the promise of technology, but not delivered. I think that to me is a great opportunity. Even today, the amount of endless hours we all spend in trying to find the best restaurant or a best holiday package or a best low-cost airlines or a hotel, which both fits our the kind of experience we are expecting as well as budget, is very frustrating and is very stressful. And idea is that we'll be using not just Gen AI in our technology stack, but also hoping to align with EdTech providers who would go out and bring the products and services which match the user requirements, right? Whether it's a offer, whether it's a discount, whether it's a loyalty points, all of those, so that it adds incremental value to the overall experience. I'll take a pause here and happy to hear everybody else's view as well.
Excellent. That was well stated, and there was a lot to unpack there, but I think kind of the takeaway is really around the predictive analysis around meeting people where they're going to be and being able to deliver those ads in a seamless fashion, if I understood correctly. But great insights. Would anyone else on the panel like to add to?
I think Sirisha has raised her hand.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, talking about the AI and all this growth exploding nowadays, one way to use it is for A/B testing. So that's what we extensively use, at least on our platform, is to take advantage of writing some AI algorithms and machine learning included to understand which creative ad copy is performing well, and then dynamically adjust the bids on it to make sure it reaches the right audience. Sometimes, now we know that cookies are going to go away. What's one thing that was like a lifeline for the advertising technology? Browser cookies are going away. So might as well proactively take step from now before it's a doomsday. So one thing is to make sure how we can contextually relevant ad experience is provided. And one way to do it is with the A/B testing. So we try to do A/B testing with different creative ad copies, some with images, some with text only, some with the mix in the play to see which one have a better click-through rate and conversion rate, and then narrow down with the creative ad copies that deliver the most performance. So that's one way we are using in our tech.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right. And that kind of leads me to the next question. How are we preparing for a cookieless future? I would love to hear that because it's something that I hear a lot. We see it coming. I know we're all in different parts of the globe, which, I think adds that much more value to the different regulations that are happening and being implemented. But we'd love to kind of open the floor up for that. If anyone has any insight into the proactiveness being done there and maybe ways that, without giving any proprietary information away, how you're being able to continue to make sure we provide that return on ad spend, which at the end of the day is ultimately what we're tasked to do.
I think I can make a few points here. I think, if you look at what AdTech fundamentally has been about, it's about helping advertisers make better use of their budgets, delivering right messages at the right time. So I think, what we've just heard about the value of A/B testing and learning, is almost implicit within the AdTech industry because it enables us as marketers to, take advantage of a lot of tools, a really broad spectrum of tools. If you go back to 2011, we could say there's 150, 200 MarTech tools and apps. Now there's over 13,000. So I think as a marketer in preparation for this big change, I'm looking at, seismic change, really. I'm looking at what can I do in my conventional pipeline? Where can I test and learn? Where can I use AI in that journey? And then secondly, which tools are coming into play in the market as a whole that I can take advantage of? So I think, it's sort of a seismic change, but as marketers, we've got a great environment in front of us to be able to react and respond to that, and still keep economies of scale across our advertising budgets.
Love it. So you're seeing the opportunity and the challenges, which any good leader should. Anyone else want to talk through this? All right.
I just would like add something regarding the challenges we expect. If now cookies are removed from the websites. So I recently came across an article, really specifically for Europe, where it was saying that removing the cookies from the website will lead to around 8% loss in advertising revenue. So which is quite huge. We're not talking about just a few percent, but 8% can be really a lot. If you just look at how much ads are generating overall, then we will remove the cookies and suddenly 8% is just gone. So we shouldn't underestimate the effect it can have. Of course, we as a company who rather uses the ad technology but not really provides them. Well, it's also difficult, but for marketers, it will at some point will become also very difficult to do those A/B testing to really analyze the statistics, seeing I mean, even now it is not as easy as it was in the past. In the past, you could literally track everything, but now you need for each data you want to track, you need a permission from the person you want to check, or from the website visitor we want to track.
That's a great question.
And real quick, sorry, just adding to that, I think what has been shared, I believe A/B testing is going to become more and more important. Events-driven marketing is going to become more important, and absence of cookie. I mean, there are going to be players like CleverTap and others who are kind of now opening up their real-time data lake and saying all the events that they are capturing, either at an app or a web level, how they are going out and sharing that data and making it available for their customers so that they can go out and share that with other service providers, namely even AdTech providers, on a calibrated basis, and obviously keeping all the privacy laws in mind. So we will see more of these events-led advertising provider, ad providers, marketing, MarTech providers who would come into place and who would start helping, and especially with Gen AI. I think that event data can actually lead to going out and creating anticipated actions or anticipated needs of understanding anticipated need and anticipating the needs of the user, and then sharing basically the promotions, the products, the offers, etc., either in app or outside the app. We have already started doing some trials around that. Unfortunately, those are confidential, but I'm sure there are other service providers who are also working with large behemoths like Google and others doing that.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I think one thing too that has come to the realization, advertising is not going anywhere. I think brands are always going to be looking to grow, and it's just going to be responsibility for us to continue to find ways to innovate and solve for these new challenges. Does anyone else want to add any context before we move on to the next question, or any perspective or thoughts?
Yeah, with the cookies not going to be around in the future, one phrase I want to throw out there is contextual targeting. So the burden would be now on the ad servers to figure out the publisher websites or the apps where the ads would display are contextually relevant or not. So they'll have to figure out ways and means to figure out what the page where the ad would be displayed is talking about. It could be a CNN.com website, but the page within that is trying to ask for that is requesting for an ad could be talking about Nike shoes, right? So you'll have to figure out the vertical of the specific page that is requesting for an ad from an ad server, to understand what it is talking about, to see what is the context that page is. Like audience that are reading about Nike shoes on a CNN.com are more likely to click on a Nike ad compared to something else that's like a retail clothes ad or whatever. So that is what I mean by contextual targeting.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Anyone else? I think I think everyone got a chance to actually speak on that, unless I'm missing anyone. All right. Well, yeah, it's definitely an exciting topic, and I see lots of opportunity, and it sounds like the team's the panel's well prepped for it. Now we're gonna kind of shift gears, right? I think we've talked about some of the exciting things and great things happening in the space. Would love to get your personal perspectives on any ad tech trends or policies that have made your life more difficult or you find frustrating. And if anyone wants to go first, feel free. If not, I'll call someone out.
I may start if it's okay for everyone. I would say the frustration is a good word. So we experience a lot of frustration when it comes to ad tech policies on a global level. So I believe there's a huge inconsistency when it comes to privacy regulations. So the EU, of course, the Bible when it comes to the privacy regulation, the EU is the GDPR. And then when you go UK is very close, of course. After Brexit, there's something else in the UK now. Switzerland is having also something else. We, as a company based in Switzerland, the countries around us are very important to us. So, especially the European Union. Now, Swiss GRC is also expanding globally, so going to the Middle East and then goes to the AdTech regions. India has another GDPR than CDU, although very close to each other. But I believe there's still an important level of inconsistency in those privacy regulations, and this makes a lot of things very difficult for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to add to that point, this shift that we've just been talking about is pretty disruptive in lots of ways, around marketing, sales, customer data dynamics, the complexity of the infrastructure around it. At the same time, we've talked about, upgrades in technology, AdTech, including AI, which give us some wonderful possibilities within that space. I think as a consumer, what frustrates me is my ability to fine-tune what I do and don't see, and which content I accept is quite autonomous, actually, in today's world. And the restrictions we're seeing around privacy really come into reality because of the unscrupulous businesses, marketers, agencies out there that push the boundaries and guidelines and rules and make it actually harder for good content to reach me. So I think this whole, shift, greater protections come about because of the people who do a bad job out there of harnessing, the way in which they do advertise, and that affects us all, and can bring, innovation, more protection, or make it harder for us as marketers.
So,
I can go next. I think more than frustration, perhaps what we're looking at right now is in this, new Gen AI cookieless world, how can we partner with some of the tech providers who work on the back end with the publishers and others to deliver the experience that we are looking to do with our users, trying to solve the problems in a real-time context, and who are leveraging technologies like Gen AI, which offers that opportunity to working together with, of course, we are a Gen AI, and so we would love to do that, but also on their own in terms of reimagining, right, the whole ad experience, especially in given the current challenges. I mean, the current challenges are really an opportunity for new generation ad tech providers to emerge and say, what we did for last 20 years was good for last 20 years, but here's how we see the ad tech solutions emerging and serving customers and really trying to kind of not just solve their problems, but also anticipate their needs, as I say, in the next 5-10 years with Gen AI. I'm personally yet to come across those kind of service providers, partners, or vendors, whatever you want to call in the ad tech space. So I'm hoping and looking forward to hearing from other panelists whom they are talking to, whom they are partnering with, and whom can we use.
so anyone else like to speak to this?
Let's move on.
We'll go to the next question about here. And thank you so much for that. I think that's echoed across the aisle. But again, I'm seeing opportunity and kind of all of this ties through. And I think you summarized it greatly. What's worked for the past 20 years, maybe not going to be what's working for the next 20 years. And so there's a lot of opportunity in there. So the next question I'd like to pose is, what are some ad tech taboos, myths, that you wouldn't agree with, or maybe you find yourself debunking, on a common basis?
I can address that first. So one common complaint is ads that blow up your site or see them when you don't want to see is very frustrating and bad for the user experience. There is a running joke that a day would come where there are autonomous vehicles on the road, and you would be navigated through a boulevard filled with all advertisements unless you paid a premium price where you can shut it off and have an ad blocker of sorts as you navigate. So I understand. I have experienced the same too. But the fact being, it's actually the invasiveness and pervasiveness of the ads happens because they probably don't know how to target the right audience. And that only means that when the price to pay for it is probably to only get quality ads targeted to you of your interests. So when there is cookies or contextual targeting in future, that would be the norm. The idea there is to give you an experience of only an exposure of those ads that pertain to your interests and your demographic. So it's not really about to complain of ads just blowing up your site or creating an unpleasant experience. But the idea behind it is to be able to provide proper to capture good information about the demographics. So the ads are more targeted and it makes actually sense to see those ads. So yeah, so there is a lot of frustration around it and to accomplish all that, but I think the entire AdTech market is moving in the right directions to obtain some stability around that concept.
Great. It reminds me of a quote, people don't hate advertising, they hate irrelevant advertising. So I think that's well said, and I echo your thoughts. Would anyone else like to take this question?
Yeah, I can contribute something here, and I absolutely agree with advertising where it's relevant is brilliant. The number of times that I've searched for running shoes, and I see all the running shoes I'd want to buy wherever I go is brilliant. So I think one myth I'd like to address is that quite often I hear that programmatic is only for brands with big budgets because there's a perception it's very expensive, and actually when fundamentally it's about being able to target better, maximize the impact of a smaller budget or larger budget, and what it does is creates a level playing field, in my opinion, between budgets that are massively different. The size of team is massively different. The age of the business and the reputation it has is massively different. What programmatic enables us to do is, timeline, we can take advantage of it, delivering very specific messages and ads at different moments in the pipeline at a cost of like 1 pence per impression. So although we have a much smaller marketing team, much smaller marketing budget than others, we can use programmatic in a brilliant way, very cost effective way to complement everything else. And I hear quite often, businesses say, oh, that's too complicated, or, I can't do it, when actually it could be exactly part of their success formula. So I think that's one myth I'd like to address.
Right. That's one way to grow your ad budget is deliver on return on ad spend, and typically we'll get more buy-in from the executives. So that's fantastic. Anyone else have any experience or taboos?
I think, yeah. So I think quickly, real quick, I'm a big believer of besides the hyper localized and personalized contextual ads. So here's an experience we are trying to deliver, for example, and we are talking to various service providers. So if you know already that if I'm going to New York and I'm booking a trip in December, and you already have my size, my culture, preference for color, etc., you're passing on that in a secured manner to basically a publisher exchange. I should only see the results of things that I care for, like a winter jacket or a mitten or a cap, or my winter allergy medicines, or my boots, for example. These are which are specific and hyper localized for me in that context, and which are not just clickable for more details, but something that I can go out and natively add to my cart, so that I'm able to go out and do a single checkout. This is just one, example. This, alleviates the pain and the stress that user goes through, because they would find something and then they'll have to go through other class sites and other place to kind of go out and buy those things. But I think if a native checkout experience is available as one of the examples, I mean, there are many other things. That's one. And I think showing the right inventory, right contacts, I think that's the other one within app, and not something that just pops out every time or is offered just as a promotion. But if it can be part of a user experience, ubiquitous to user. I think the whole ad experience over last 20, maybe I'm sounding too old, but last 25 years, I haven't seen significant changes, right? It's the same way that was getting delivered way back in 98, 99 when Google started. And I think it's the same way getting delivered now. So I think there's an opportunity here, especially with Gen AI and other policies that are there, to kind of reinvent that or reimagine that.
Excellent. Appreciate that. No one else has anything to add to that. That kind of leads me into my next question. How do we foresee the power or consumer changes around first-person data and the value exchange that's created from that? I think at first, when people might have been, let's say, retargeted very specifically on things they searched, it might have came across as a little, spooky, but I think obviously very adaptable, people much more comfortable with technology, and they understand that it's actually advantageous. I would love to get any thoughts on, and these can be speculations. I'm not saying we know the answer to this, because this is kind of something I think about, but any thoughts around the power and importance of first-person data and how the consumer landscape around that is changing for those opt-ins in exchange for relevant messaging at the right time? And yeah, just love to open that up if that's something that anyone has any thoughts or convictions around. And that might just be me who's in that. So
I can try to start, and if I understood your question well, of course, for our case, we are a software provider, and within a field which is very specific, which is the GRC field, so the governance, risk management, compliance. So we deal everything which has to do with privacy policies, information security, cyber security, and then we offer this solution that helps them the company. So we are in the B2B field, where people then manage those risks with our software solution. A question or a challenge we always have is then to be on the right time and reaching the right person, because our challenge is also at the same time knowing who's responsible for what now. So we offer a software solution, but it can be our target person can be a risk manager, it can be an information security specialist, it can be a chief information security officer. And then in the whole context, and the putting together the B2B context, then trying to figure out what is best when it comes to advertising or AdTech itself, it is quite complicated. So if I had a wish, then is there would be then having advertising solutions that make us being as efficient as in the B2C field, for example. Because with the B2C area, there are many more examples, and it's also easy to relate to. So we have the example of booking a flight, buying running shoes, or something like that. But then how can I explain to you? If you look for a running shoe, then you should also find a GRC software. So quite difficult to bring together two worlds, so which is the B2B world, the B2C world, and then having the technology part. It's again very complicated. I don't know if it answers your question a bit.
It does, yeah, and I think space and company you're leading there is challenging the big problems of solving those two, because it's certainly not an easy task. Anyone else have any thoughts on the importance of first-person data kind of over the next 10 years or so, and how consumer behavior is changing to maybe be more open to it, and leveraging that as kind of part of future AdTech tools that are built out?
Yeah, I have a thought about it. So I think some publishers already are taking advantage of it. But first party data is nothing but you try to analyze how long the user has spent on your website, right? What are they clicking around? What is the demographic? You have the first hand information to it. That is why it is first party data. Now, this is a wealth of information that you can take advantage of. Perhaps you can integrate an AI-powered CRM system into your website that can interact and provide some personalized experience to your user who is visiting your website, right? So for let's take an example. Your website is selling clothes, okay, on like a Macy's.com, right? A retail, and a user visits your website, you know everything, you know some things about the user, where they're located, a rough estimation of their age, possible, you know, gender alignment, and time of the day that they're visiting, season, right? Seasonal, is it Christmas time or holiday time or a weekday, whatever. So now this information is something that you can use to provide some personalized shopping experience at this stage. You can interact, possibly you can create, I really don't like chatbots, but some kind of a dialogue that you can initiate with the user to give them information about, hey, you know, I noticed you are looking at this red dress, but you did not add it to the cart. So is there a coupon I can interest you with that you can use to purchase this whatever recommended clothes, you know, instead of this red dress you want a red shirt or a red skirt, whatever. So I think the first party data is valuable, and you can do a lot more with it. This is just one example I can think about, but definitely you can use that to increase the user engagement with your website.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right. We'll move on to the next question. So what's a particular aspect of ad tech that you feel has been underrated, underappreciated, maybe overlooked by most professions or professionals in your field? Right. It can be open to the floor, and if we don't have any thoughts on that, we can skip this one.
I could maybe contribute here. I think, you know, for years and years and years, we've been talking about these silos that exist between departments in businesses. You know, so it might be a silo between sales and marketing classically, or it might be a silo between tech and marketing, or product and marketing. I think what ad tech really does is it enables, you know, these silos to dissolve, particularly with things like AI coming onto the field now. You know, we know that tech is really excited in our business about AI. We know that marketing's really excited about it. And what we can do with that is knit those three departments together in terms of here's an ad tech tool that really reveals to us some information, some trends, or gives us the ability to reach our audience very effectively. You know, and I think that's one great thing that other businesses in our sector maybe don't appreciate, not least, you know, the way in which ad tech can, as I've said, you know, level the playing field in terms of budgets and sizes of teams as well. So I think for us as a business, that's an opportunity at the moment, but that's also something, you know, I think other businesses, marketers need to appreciate, you know, the value of ad tech to a whole industry, a whole sector, and what it can do for us as a business.
Love it.
I can just quickly add +1 to that. I think the whole focus on the value that we are bringing to the end user, somewhere I think got lost when we got caught up in the various elements of ad tech and, you know, the various intermediaries in between. And I think the opportunity here is to kind of jump through all of that and see if we can break some of those silos, as you mentioned, and some of the one that we created, and then see if opportunities to see how we can go out and better facilitate collaboration and also deliver by bring the focus back to delivering value to the end user.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have one thing to talk about is Many people think AdTech who don't work in AdTech, they don't understand how exciting and thrilling it can be working in this industry. Because I can confidently say every employee who works for an AdTech company directly contributes to a revenue. Because that's how the nature of the industry is. Every second they can make or lose money, and every employee in some way directly impacts to generate revenue in every department. That may not be true for other industries that are not ad tech. So, but that is really a fact, and that's very exciting. It's exciting for an employee to know that everything that they do directly results in a possible profit in the next 1 minute. So that keeps kind of things always exciting. They are it's always nice to see new things the company might be coming up with, new ways to monetize, and that keeps kind of people on the toes. So at least I enjoy that kind of a thrill. And when we at least that's one thing I see in all employees that are comment on AdTech, is they're always looking forward to understanding how revenue is being generated, and they become a little bit savvy in that area. So I think that sets this industry apart.
Love it. All right. And so I've been notified we have time for one last question, and then we're gonna transition to the second part. This is a bit of a different. This is more kind of career focus externally, right? I mean, obviously, everyone on this call, on the panel, has had a very successful career in ad tech and have made major impacts on your business. Would love just to give high level, kind of relatively concise advice for maybe someone who's wanting to get into the ad tech career, maybe a newcomer or someone who's looking to get into the space. What's some recommendations based off your experience and experience that you would give us tips? That maybe helped you, earlier on in your career, things that you wish you knew now that you didn't. And then this will wrap up our questions for now.
I think just as a general point, I think ad tech is all about being inquisitive, where someone is inquisitive enough to look across a range of tools and determine this is the best way of netting those tools together. This is what I need to, in the ad tech world to really get that return on investment in marketing. That's a common language, return on investment in any business, whether we're on an agency side, a client side, a publisher side. Return on investment is what it's all about. So I think where you can keep that as the golden thread and understand which tools are really relevant to that ROI journey in that business, that's a great starting point. And any CEO would be impressed, CFO, CMO would be impressed by someone who can talk and relate to that journey in a business.
Excellent. Maybe time for one other.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, please. One more.
No, I just wanted to continue on what he shared. I think, the industry is ripe for disruption after, I think, 25 years or so of being operated the same way. If somebody can come in and question the value chain and say, for instance, can Gen AI replace, some of the agency or some of the functions that agency do in the value chain or the value they create, or can it enhance the value that they create, or can a Gen AI platform replace publishing or an exchange, right, or some of the value that they create or enhance the value that they create? I think anybody who leads with this kind of a questions and curiosity to understand the space and also apply newer technology, especially in the newer regime of policies, I believe will be able to create what we call the Uber movement, right, for the industry. I think that will shape the industry for, at least next 5, 10, 15 years.
Excellent. Excellent advice. Well, I appreciate it. I could probably spend the next several hours. I know everyone's very busy. So unfortunately, we have to wrap up our questions here. Very insightful, learned a lot, and truly, fortunate to be part of this conversation today. So do we want to just move directly now into?
Yeah, I mean, again, it has been extremely fantastic, very insightful, right? And you could see the experience in the discussion, right? But we will have to move on to the next segment, which is the roast session. And as I was mentioning earlier, I love this session because this is a session when we are able to get a brutal, honest feedback from the subject matter experts. Sajida, please share your screen. Let's talk a little bit about Nickelytics, get the feedback from experts as well as insights. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. I'm getting this pulled up. I had it, and then looks like it just escaped. 30 seconds.
And the panelists don't have to hold back when you have feedback or questions. You could be as honest as possible.
Yes. The goal is to make me cry, so it's all right. We're ready.
Yeah, if I see Judah sweating and crying, then that's perfectly all right.
Yeah, you can't hold back a few tears if you're a founder, you know. All right, so I've got getting all this set up, and then I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to go right into it. Maybe before we do that, I would love just quickly, Ricky and Mandar, if you're can briefly introduce yourself, maybe talk on your background, particular to AdTech, and your role here at Nickelytics, and then I'll take it from there.
Yeah, great. Hi, this is Mandar. I head the marketing, and my tryst with AdTech started in 2008 when I joined Digitas at Publicis Group, and I was part of Vivaki. They are basically the core group that started their tech platform for ad serving, ad buying, ad exchange. And one of my first projects was with General Motors as our client, and with DoubleClick when it was not when it was DoubleClick and it was not purchased by Google. So that's when I started in ad tech, work with DoubleClick, with Google, with General Motors to serve very, I would say, location specific targeted advertising to customers with showing the right inventory available in their DMA region, and making sure that we got high click-through rates on our ads for General Motors. So yeah, that's where it was. At Nickelytics, I basically head the marketing and look after demand gen as well as acquisition of drivers.
Thank you. Ricky, you want to do a brief overview of your background?
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Judah. So I'm Ricky, based here in India. So I look at product and technology, with Nickelytics. To give you some background, so I was with Google with the Maps team in India. I was leading the geodata team for a couple of years. I went out to do my PhD in computer science from Ireland. And the area was mobile location-based services. So now, about 10 years later, I got an opportunity to kind of join Judah, and work on how we could bring, location tech and ad tech, the intersection of the two with the whole, mobility out of home play that we are kind of trying to work on with, Nickelytics. So exciting times, yeah, just early days, I think.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. With that, I'll go ahead and I'm going to share my screen, make sure it's full screen so everyone can see. Please let me know once it loads. Thumbs up.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So our company is called Nickelytics, and you can really think of us as this conversion between out-of-home advertising, technology, and mobility. And at the end of the day, what we're solving for is kind of twofold. So the one part of it is mentioned on this panel, especially relevant for out-of-home advertising And for those on the panel, or not on the panel, but those who are in the audience might not be familiar, out-of-home advertising is essentially everything that's physical advertising in the quote unquote real world, right? So this, the biggest kind of sector is billboards. And as mentioned, 50% of them are working. It's how do we get better measurement around the other 50% to improve that? And what we've done is created a platform that creates hyper local scale and makes launching offline ads as simple and measurable and scalable as launching online ads. And the way we do this is essentially through a network of gig economy drivers, as well as robotic providers, as well as truck providers that we've built out that has our mobile app. They create a profile, upload their information, and they drive around with their app on to get qualified for these out-of-home campaigns. And when they do get qualified, we then would do a background check. We'd vet them, make sure that they're a great brand or a great brand representative. And then we have a network of 300 installers nationwide that would install the wrap. And the real value is obviously the wrap creates that first layer of visibility, but our platform allows brands to really understand that second layer of data to showcase what actually is happening on this campaign. So we're going to show not just impressions, not just a lifetime updates on where the vehicles are at, but consumer insights around the types of consumers exposed, the education levels exposed, interest level, or the income levels. And then we can digitally retarget your ideal customer profile on digital. So really connecting that offline to online. And we can do that through digital retargeting on their phone, through their connected TV, even some mailers. So again, helping to bridge that gap between out-of-home and offline or online. So nationwide coverage, few statistics around how we've been able to grow the business. So we've now ran over 100 campaigns. We've served over 760 million impressions. And we've run campaigns in 40 states. And I think probably the most exciting piece of it is the CPM that we're able to deliver. So we're not your traditional billboard providers, and there's a lot of great value in that, but we're essentially using underutilized assets. And that allows us to deliver a great return on ad spend. Another thing that's really valuable, and as we see events coming back to life, we did multiple Swarm events, right, with brands wanting to get to the Taylor Swift concerts, where they can actually drive around these locations, create a really wow factor. We're working again with Coinbase that's circling the EthAum event out here in Denver. And that's another very, I think, powerful asset, is being able to move these vehicles and these assets to these hyper location areas. Again, I mentioned this earlier, retargeting, and this is a actual use case where we worked with AmTrust. They did a 5-vehicle pilot. They were so happy with our ability to take their offline spend, connect it with their digital team, and then show the retargeting and the cost of acquisition for business owners in the New York area, where they came back and then did 60 vehicles the following year. We've been a client, ever since. So another thing that we're super excited about, and been a big kind of revenue growth for us, is there's been a big shift in the mobility sector around profitability. And a lot of these mobility companies are now looking at advertising not as a, kind of future integration, but kind of something that's needed from day one. And so we've now partnered with essentially every major robotics provider out there. And we're currently running campaigns, for instance, in LA with Serve Robotics, with Charles Schwab, 100 Robotics, and then our API connects, so the advertiser gets this. We also have some strategic partnerships with some massive rideshare providers. So we're kind of transforming to that B2B model to be a turnkey solution for any mobility platform to monetize their fleet, and the advertisers are happy because we're showing them return on ad spend. So this is another interesting value proposition as we continue to grow. We have a very concentrated network of universities. So we have over 4,000 robots nationwide, done over 30 million deliveries. We have footprint in 10 major cities, but this is a really unique way of reaching college students at a very pleasant and aesthetically pleasing, yet creating that futuristic moment. And there's so much virality to this. So we've been working now with a lot of local TikTok influencers because we feel it needs to be an omni-channel campaigns for us to have continued growth and drive all the different sectors, right? So a lot of this is just organic, but as we go to the universities, doing more with the actual influencers there to really amplify that message. And so quickly about the drivers. So we're really working with the top 1% of the gig economy, meaning they're driving for Uber, for Lyft, for Instacart, really, any of the platforms that are doing deliveries, driving 6 to 8 hours a day, vehicle newer than 10 years. And they're rewarded based on the more that they drive, the more money that they get. So they get up to $300 per month. Great payment system, we feel, because it's helping them to essentially cover their car payments for, not doing too much work, but they also work as brand ambassadors. So we'll educate them about the brands. They can pass out collateral, some really cool stuff we can do from an experiential standpoint. And, a case study just to quickly kind of highlight, bring this to life is, UT Martin, right? So they were really wanting to understand, how many clients or how many students are signing up for, these courses or education, higher education. So we've ran campaigns now with them for several years. In a couple markets, Pixel on their website, we were able to track essentially sign up rates, so we could do the website lift and show them the return on ad spend. So to quickly hit on what this looks like, one thing too I think we've done is shorten the actual process of launching out-of-home campaigns. We've literally launched them in a matter of 8 days. Operations team doesn't love that, but typically we try to do it within 2 weeks. Obviously, the larger the client, the more there is a little bit back and forth, but we have an in-house team that handles the design. We have a robust, operations team that is able to take on pretty much any size campaign from 10 vehicles to 1,000 vehicles, which we're running right now with InDrive in Miami. And so testimonials, right? I can sit here and tell you what we do. I think it's always best when a client can speak on our behalf, because at the end of the day, we're here to serve our clients. So clients from Rita's to agencies to B2C brands, and works with brands of all different shapes and sizes, focusing now on kind of 4 main pillars. I would say fintech is a big one. So brands, is there to, emerging technology companies, B2C, as well as higher education. And that is my presentation. Try to keep it short and sweet, but we do have a 2-minute demo. If you'll bear with me, I hope that kind of brings what I talked through to life. And then I think we can hold all the questions in the roast to the end. How does that sound? All right. So let me see here. And this should play the audio. So this is what the first part is just going to overview what our core offering is, but then it's going to actually show what an advertiser gets access to and some of the insights that they're going to receive. So I'm going to play it now, and just give me a thumbs up, Ricky, if you can hear
it. At Nickelytics, we help businesses grow with integrated out-of-home and digital retargeting ads served via hyperlocal vehicle wraps and delivery robots.
Hi, everyone. Judy here from Nickelytics. Excited to share some updates we launched in 2024.
So on the home screen, you can see a high-level overview of how your campaign is doing. It's going to give you total impressions, total miles coverage. Also, we're going to go one step further by showing the demographics of the consumers that were exposed to your ads, the age ranges, the educational levels, the income levels, as well as the ethnicity breakdown of the consumers exposed to your ads. This is just going to give you a better idea of actually the audience that's being exposed to these real world ads. So if you go into the affinities tab, get a really good understanding of the types of consumers that are being exposed and giving you a good fit for building out your ICP for clients that you want to digital retarget. And of course, we're going to show attribution, and that's what I'm most excited to talk about today. So in this tab here, you'll see immediately your campaign's digital impressions, clicks, website, or store visits. Really crucial metrics to understand the campaign's KPIs. You'll get insights into your campaign's performance, from audience engagements to location effectiveness. You can pinpoint where these impressions are served, offering insights into actual store locations. And console covers both mobile and OTT campaigns, tracking VCR impressions, and even QR scans. We analyze which devices and apps are tracking your impressions. In a nutshell, our dashboard provides real-time data, empowering you to make informed decisions, as well as ensuring that creative and campaign is performing optimally. We're combining the best of out-of-home advertising and digital advertising to drive your success. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think we are ready for questions.
All right. Thank you so much. And my presentation has concluded.
Are you ready with your productive gears?
I am. I'll bring them on. I'm ready. Got my tissues
Okay,
over
who
here.
wants to go first? Don't be shy.
I could ask you a question. So in the UK, you know, I wish this was in the UK actually. It doesn't, I don't think it's in the UK yet. So hopefully one day it will be there. Here, you know, we out of home on transport, for example, buses, only in one region, can't advertise nationally easily because usually the booking teams or their agencies are in different places. I was really impressed with the impressions count and all the measurement information there. I just wondered, how reliable is that? You know, how confident are you in those impression figures? And as a marketer, how can I be sure that the CFO won't rip that apart?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I want to say, you know, a lot of thanks for the Ricky on the team who mentioned as a PhD in geolocation data, worked on the Google Maps team. So, you know, from a credibility standpoint, you know, we're in great hands. But the way it works kind of fundamentally is all of our assets have essentially a 20-foot radius that we would call a visibility cone. We then put an algorithm based on how fast the vehicles are going, the assets are going, and then we cross-correlate that with large data warehouses with unique IDs of consumers that are within that proximity. So we're not going to be able to sit here and tell you, you know, 100% that they saw these impressions, but for us, that's the entry point. What we really care about showing is the actual return on ad spend through, you know, website visits, retail store location visits, app downloads, and really showing you the KPIs that's going to give you that data. And the impressions, we think of it as essentially proof of performance that we did that. And then there's also the mile tracker to show how many miles were covered in that period of time. So you can definitely be assured just through the data partnerships, even through the auditing that we do, you know, that these are, you know, industry standard. I'm actually on the board of a newly rolled out initiative that specifically works on kind of how we define impressions in the moving out of home space. So a lot of data has gone into that, a lot of kind of cross-functional organization. So yeah, I would say there's definitely a lot of conviction there, but at the end of the day, we don't want to show you impressions. We want to show you real results, meaning you get $1, put $1 in, you're getting $6 out.
Great, thanks. I mean, it's a huge step forward from the old days of, transport advertising in the UK. So really great. I know I'm supposed to be roasting you here, but I'm not doing it. All looks impressive so far.
Well, thank you. Well, maybe we can make it over to the UK. It's love the area and spent some time in London, which I know is not exactly where you are, but anyone else?
Go ahead. I see your hand.
A quick question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Miten.
Please continue, and then I'll go next. Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about how are you working with your channels where you ran your campaigns about detecting if there was any fraud, like ad fraud, right? Did you verify all that, and did you find anything?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, we do have some vendors that we work with to help specifically on fraud detection and ensuring that, the ads that are being served and reported are actually being, being delivered, especially on the digital side. And one thing that's great about the out of home is you can't skip the ads. I mean, you can't unless you close your eyes. They're gonna be served, and that's again all trackable. You can literally go back and see exactly where they were at what times, at what locations. And then on the digital side, yeah, we have a couple vendors that we work with to help make sure that there is, fraud detection, but that's something that we're continuing to improve upon and, definitely important to our advertisers, especially as things continue to evolve in this cookieless world.
Okay. So quick question in terms of measuring the end user customer engagement, let's say on these colleges and university campus, do you have ability to kind of go out and track number of downloads by location and other metrics based on, let's say, a barcode or a scan code available on the ad, and then, kind of basically, driving it through a promotion like take $20 on Starbucks coupon or a Amazon coupon, and then trying to do it and drive either downloads or usage or adoption or even transactions?
Yeah, thank you for the question. We absolutely do. So yeah, each campaign, each unique ID, essentially each asset has its own unique ID. Then we can essentially track that individual, think of it as a moving billboard, to understand what the results of that was. And, QR codes is just one example, but we can even show how many people downloaded the apps within that proximity that were exposed to the ad. And then also too, we can even show you, let's say an advertiser wants to run 3 different creatives. We can show them which creative is getting the best return, because that's another thing that's very critical in advertising, as we all know, is the creative, right? I mean, you can have the most sophisticated technology, but if the creative isn't, for the out of home especially, isn't very effective, and we have an in-house team to help advise on that. But yeah, we absolutely can get down and narrow it down to individual results per vehicle, but typically they're doing at least, anywhere between 10 to 20 vehicles. These are longer term campaigns out of home. We recommend a minimum of 6 months. Obviously, there's some event-based things where it doesn't make sense, but we're working a lot. And that's one reason why we've started to work with a lot of these brands that are looking to build that awareness year round. But now we've been able to move into a lot of the performance marketing where we're just saying, exposure is not enough. We need to be able to showcase that, dollar in, dollar out.
And hopefully build a strong ROI case so that the customer can actually take it back, the marketers can take it back to the CFO, as the earlier gentleman said, and actually build a business case and get an approval based on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have now probably 6 case studies, working on 2 more. And that's, again, I think one thing, because it is a newer medium, a lot of these larger brands, even though we've now worked with, brands like Nationwide, just pretty much every large brand. We've done quite a bit of campaigns. That's what it's all about, right? Is being able to showcase that we're giving a return on ad spend at a lower CPM, the experience and what results came out. I think anyone can put decals on a vehicle and drive around and get some exposure, but it's about that underlying technology that we're fortunate that the team that's much smarter than me have been able to build and continue to improve upon. And you can even download a lot of the data to present, because not the CFO isn't necessarily going to want to go into our dashboard, but we also have that implementation as well.
Interesting. Would love to double click on that and understand a little bit more in deeper offline, but thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Let's see. More questions or probably comments or feedback, insights. I'm sure Judah will appreciate some insights on how the product roadmap may look like, or how the GTM strategy may look like, or what kind of partnerships he could unlock for Nickelytics.
Yep, please. I could maybe
just to inject some sense of humor. I'm just saying, I think one kind of company that can immediately come to my mind is, I think, travel tech powered by Gen AI. You should definitely look at partnering with them. This is self-serving, just to more serve as a humor.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, definitely.
Love it. We'll do. Thank you. And I think one thing too, I do want to mention, just to kind of look at kind of the roadmap, right? So we are continuously adding mobility partners, and we have launched our first digital out of home. So digital screens, we believe, are a big thing, and that's where the DSP and SSPs will come into a big piece of our global growth.
I have a question. In your website, when I was reading the case studies, that are very impressive. There was also the case study with Uber. Is Uber a partner of you, or rather the partners of Uber that are your partners then?
Yeah, great question. So there has been times we've actually partnered with them. But we also don't want to rely on any one particular rideshare provider. There are times we partner with them very strategically, like we're doing right now with the second largest rideshare provider in the world. There's a lot of exciting stuff there happening, but we have our own network of drivers. 50,000 drivers have downloaded our mobile app, essentially looking for ways to make supplemental income. And that's growing day over day. And so now we're actually building out a monetization strategy to engage them beyond just driving with the GPS location. So Ricky and team's working very hard on that. Mindar's driving a lot of that strategy as well. So yeah, these are drivers who drive for Uber, Lyft, Instacart, but we have their first person data in it, obviously, for an exchange of value. But Uber definitely, like, that was one thing where we found out very early on is the biggest challenge for the mobility providers are retention. So it's like, if we can get more money in for them, they want to add more value to their drivers. So they see it as a great value add to keep them on the platform.
Other question I have is a bit more provoking. Let's say, how do you, as Nickelytics, do advertising for yourself?
That's a great question. So, yeah, we've not done a lot. So a lot of it has been very scrappy. So my background has been in business development and sales, worked in organizations like Salesforce, that have built out teams at Gartner. So it's been a lot of sales driven. We've recently built out our first marketing team, and Mindar, maybe you want to speak to that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, so most of our, I would say, customer acquisition has been outbound, and we want to shift that to inbound. So we are focusing on content specifically that would target brand managers and agencies, and building out our SEO play and strategy there. Uh, Apart from that, we do a little bit of digital advertising on Google, Meta, remarketing on Meta to people who have visited specific pages on our site, like the advertise agency page or the brand page, or have read blog articles related to advertising using car apps. So we strategically do remarketing ads on Meta, and apart from that, we do a little bit of PR for any new strategic launches or initiatives that, let's say, we've launched the Coinbase campaign, the Swarm campaign for the event, then we do a small PR to kind of announce that partnership. So it reaches out to the right audiences. Uh, in outbound, also, we are very strategic in terms of leveraging LinkedIn, I would say, to make the first point of contact and strategically reach out to the right decision maker, so that we get more meetings booked for the outbound outreach that we're doing. So yeah, so it's I would say heavily focused towards outbound, but we are uh, bringing in inbound also.
And two things I'll add to that too. Thank you, Mindar. Is that so? One thing that's nice is we get to use our own product, which we're obviously big believers in. So every time we wrap a campaign, we put our interested in advertising Nickelytics in the corner with the QR code. We're starting to do some events. We've really hit a stride, I think, this last year, and so now we're really starting to ramp up some of those marketing channels. And then another thing that's been fantastic is we work really well with agencies. I mean, ultimately, agencies' jobs are to prove the return on ad spend for their clients, and so we can have one agency that we, get integrated with, and then they can essentially not become a reseller per se, but leverage that as part of their inventory. So that's been, very nice and has allowed us to stay lean.
Judah, you might want to talk about the NBA event that you attended.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good thing. One thing you'll see here in the coming days, especially around robotics, is so one of our strategic investors work with a lot of professional athletes. We're going to announce this here soon, but essentially it's a syndicate of professional athletes who can endorse the deal, and then they have a lot of brand partnerships. So we try to be very strategic and thoughtful around who we're working with. And we just did our first all-star event where we were there, had our robots driving around in the actual stadium delivering goods. The CEO of one of the CPG brands had his robot had one of our robots deliver one of their beverages. So that's a pretty big wow factor for stadium advertising, which is a massive ad spend stuff. So yeah, there's a lot we're doing, and a lot of it's kind of, I would say, word of mouth referrals, but now we're really saying, okay, what does this look like to build out a fully functioning marketing team and put some budget behind it. So long-winded answer, but thank you for the question. Hopefully that answered it. Any other? Yeah.
Any other thought? Any last comment?
I have a last comment, which is related to technology, well, in general. My advice to you, Judah, is never forget that technology, to have it, is good, but the human is even more important. So your solution might be as good as they are, but you, as of course the persons behind the technology, if you cannot bring towards the customer what the customer is looking for, which is empathy, understanding, then it is difficult. So for me, it's very important. So even if your technology is very good, very sophisticated, everybody's celebrating it, maybe, but never forget where you're coming from. Basically, that's my advice I have to you, and my comment also generally. when it comes to technology, because what I've experienced is many tech companies, when they see they're very successful, they actually forget those that bring in revenue, which is the customer. So
Absolutely.
they think here's my solution, then just sign up, do it yourself. But then the customer still needs to be assisted, to have someone they can reach out to, the support and the empathy. I always like to highlight. That's pretty much the comment and the advice I have for you.
No, that's amazing, and definitely a great reminder that end of the day, without our customers, we're nothing, right? You know, we can have the shiniest toys, but if we're not satisfying and providing value and continuing that, so thank you. Great feedback.
Okay, I think this is end of this session today. It has been really fantastic getting feedback, insights, thoughts from the EdTech leaders from, again, different parts of the world, different expertise, different industries, and now the roast session. I think we did not really get roasted, Jira, right? It was very sort of a positive feedback and some guidance on the solution, which is great. But yeah, this is not the end. I think this is just the beginning of this relationship. I think we should reconnect in the next few days, weeks, see how we can collaborate, help each other, and help each other winning, right? So again, thanks everybody for your time. Really appreciate it. And let's reconnect soon. Yeah. Jira?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure to be part of this conversation today. Thank you for not making me cry, even though I was ready for it, and really value the insights that you shared. And I'll be reaching out individually just to see how I can ever be of support. So thank you, and thank you, EthAum Ventures, for putting this together.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone.
Thank you.